The leaders of FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, say they have learned from those mistakes. Lisa Stark reports on how the agency has responded to storms since Katrina and how it's preparing for the next one.
It's a beautiful day at the New Jersey shore. Hard to imagine the fury nearly 3 years ago when Hurricane Sandy came ashore. Joe Mangino remembers.
And when I opened it for the first time, there was seagrass coming out.
Mangino's garage was filled 4 feet of water, destroying his livelihood, equipment for his power washing business. As for his house,
I remember what it smelled like. That smell of the bay is something I won't forget.
The first floor flooded. Mangino knew they'd have to move out.
The first thing I was worried about was, where am I going to put the family? And
sorry, I know. It's still really tough, huh?
Yeah.
Unlike Katrina, FEMA was ready for Sandy. The agency put people and supplies in place early. FEMA's new philosophy: go big, go fast.
We're moving. We don't wait. Sometimes, again, hurricanes you can see coming. So we already have our teams deployed into the states. We already are moving resources based upon the likely area of impact.
Craig Fugate has headed FEMA for 6 years, previously running Florida's emergency services. A very different resume than the man in charge during Katrina. Michael Brown, an attorney who had been with an Arabian Horse Association. After Katrina, President Bush initially praised the FEMA director.
And Brownie, you're doing a heck of a job. The FEMA director's working.
But within 10 days, Brown resigned, faced with scathing criticism over FEMA's inept response. Seattle's Eric Holdeman, who has spent decades in emergency management, says the man at the top of FEMA makes a huge difference.
You can't overestimate having someone come in who's not a political hack, not just a appointee that doesn't know anything about disasters, but someone who comes with a vision and a mission for how the federal government can best support state and local jurisdictions before, during, and after disasters.
There's widespread agreement that FEMA is on the ball these days when it comes to preparing for and responding to a disaster. But the agency's role doesn't end when the waters recede. And critics say that's where FEMA still needs to improve operations.
They made it extremely hard.
Joe Mangino says FEMA did help with some rental assistance, but he pleaded for an advance on his federal flood insurance money so he could start rebuilding.
They started with, oh, we didn't know you wanted an advance. I told the guy I was here. I signed the paperwork asking for an advance. Then they lost the advance. Then we faxed it again, and they never got the fax.
Ultimately, FEMA paid out $69,000 for his damaged house, far less than his $250,000 policy maximum. FEMA has now reopened the claims process for those who feel shortchanged, as many as 144,000 homeowners.
Well, because FEMA admitted that they screwed people, plain and simple.
It's not just FEMA. On the day we were there, building inspectors tagged systems still not up to code.
And that just happened within the last hour. Yeah. Now imagine that over 1,000 days.
That's tough.
Yeah. So they knocked that house down.
Mangino, who's surrounded by homes still being rebuilt, says FEMA needs to streamline its processes so those due insurance money and other help can get it simply and quickly. Lisa Stark, Al Jazeera, Stafford Township, New Jersey.